Hello, I'm Dr. Chris Zimmer, and I want to do a quick video to sort of append the last one that I did and add a few more things. So there was an article that came out in 2019 called "Our Planet Rang Like a Bell for 20 Minutes and Scientists Now Know Why." This is regarding the Earth ringing like a bell on November 11th, 2018. And I think it was Repo Man 64 brought up that he thought it might be the end of grace after 5 years, that this signaled the end of grace on the date 11/11. So I asked the question, does this signal the end of grace on 11/11 5 years later? Well, if we read the article, it says researchers have reported that an underwater eruption has just given rise to a brand new volcano 800 meters high with a base of around 5 kilometers. They found it fascinating, and they say a magma chamber had ejected molten rock on the seafloor, causing the Earth's crust to break and a volcano to rise from the underworld. Well, it's 800 meters high. Strong's G800 means not agreeing in sound or dissonant, inharmonious, or at variance. So here's almost a reply to that sound, like ringing like a bell, that something is off, that something is coming, where God is going to step in, and this looks like the end of grace 5 years later. So with that in mind, I also wanted to mention something that happened this week, but I want to fill you in on what a sanctuary lamp is first. A sanctuary lamp, chancel lamp, altar lamp, everlasting light, or eternal flame is a light that shines before the altar of sanctuaries in many Jewish and Christian places of worship. It also symbolizes God's eternal presence and is therefore never extinguished, and is prescribed in Exodus 27:20-21 of the Torah. And I give you the passage below Exodus 27. The main things to take from that are that they were to cause the lamp to burn continuously at the tabernacle, and that this was given as a statute forever. So the sanctuary lamp is an integral part of the Catholic Mass. Its glowing flame indicates the presence of Christ, the light of the world, in the Holy Sacrament of the Eucharist. Okay, so knowing that, I want to take you to a Mass that happened this week. This was Holy Mass from Our Lady of the Angels Chapel on the EWTN campus in Irondale, Alabama. And you can see on the right-hand side of the screen there that the chancel lamp looks like it's fairly brightly lit. And the room even looks fairly bright here too, like the sun is shining in. But if we go to the next day, November 5th, you'll notice that the lamp looks like it's either completely extinguished or burning extremely dimly. Let's go to a side view, and this is back to the 4th again, where you can see that lamp on that day is burning fairly brightly, and you can look at the carpet and see the sunshine coming in from the window. It looks like the whole room is fairly brightly lit. Then again, if we go to November 5th, and from about the same view, you can see that chancel lamp looks either completely extinguished or fairly dim, and the whole room is somewhat dim too as well. It looks like there's not much light coming in. Maybe it's an overcast day, I don't know, but everything looks fairly dim on the 5th. If we compare them, here's a close-up near the tabernacle. On the left side is 11:4, where you can see the light burning brightly. And then on the right side, if you look close to one of the fingers there, you can actually see a slight glow, like the lamp is still lit, but it's extremely dim on November 5th. And then on November 6th, obviously they've changed the candle, and you can see it's burning brightly again near the top of the glass. So there seems to be an 11/11 convergence here. I'm including what we just saw, and then a couple of other facts as well. On November 5th, the sanctuary lamp had the appearance of being extinguished. Its flame was extremely dim and almost undetectable. The date is significant in that 5 years ago, on 11/11/18, the earth rang like a bell for 20 minutes, and the 5th anniversary of that seismic event will be on 11/11 this year. The number 5 symbolizes God's grace, goodness, and favor toward humans, and that comes from BibleStudy.org. There is overwhelming evidence for a November 11th, 2023 rapture, which will thereupon bring an end to the age of grace. Now, I didn't go into it in complete detail, but the last video I did has a lot of 11s. Also, the Southern Torrids meteor shower is set to peak Sunday and Monday. This already happened, November 5th and 6th, giving viewers a chance to see what are often called shooting stars soaring above our planet. This is from an article in NPR. And they go on further to say, and be patient, while the Torrids can churn out some extraordinarily bright fireballs, they only produce about 5 meteors per hour at most. And this article came out on November 5th. Coincidentally, Mars in Libra on 11/11, and I showed that in the last video, may symbolize the war in heaven in which Satan and his angels are cast out. So you have all these things happening simultaneously. We've got a 5-year, which looks like end of grace on 11/11, possible rapture that same day. The Torrid meteor shower signaling something like Satan and his angels being cast out of heaven. And then, of course, Mars in Libra symbolizing that. So we have some sort of convergence happening on 11/11. And this one I wanted to correct from last time. This was 9/22/2023, 1734 IDT is Comet Nishimura, excellent husband, conjuncting with asteroid Jangalovich, 1734. So we have 2 instances of 1734 on the 22nd, which is 11 plus 11, and then Strong's 1734, of course, means 11th, and then 1734 twice implies 11th day, 11th month. If we looked at the Hebrew Aleph Bet, paired sequentially from the center, each pair added together gives 11 23s, with the Aleph Tav as the outer pair. And if we look at 11/11 in binary, is 3/3. Well, the last time I had duplicated John 3:3, I put that into Revelation 3:3, which is incorrect. So I've corrected that mistake here. But Jesus does actually say what he says in John 3:3. He repeats it in John 3:5, but with more detail. He adds that you need to be born again of water and spirit. So John 3:3, Jesus answered and said unto him, Verily, verily, I say unto thee, except a man be born again, he cannot see the kingdom of God. So this is suggesting that in order to go in the rapture, you must be born again. And then the correct Revelation 3:3, remember therefore how you have received and heard, hold fast and repent. Therefore, if you will not watch, I will come upon you as a thief, and you will not know what hour I will come upon you. Okay, so these are all seem like references to the rapture. And there's another. In Luke 17:34, because of the numbering of the asteroid and the time and all that, I tell you, in that night there will be 2 men in one bed. The one will be taken and the other will be left. Again, speaking of the rapture. So these all seem to be pointing us towards relevant verses for the rapture. So anyway, I just wanted to correct that from the last time. The sign of Jonah, which we spoke about this last time, but in a little bit more detail here, from the sign of Jonah to the possible rapture on 11/11, and then Drayton Bunyan added something which I thought was kind of interesting here. 9/23/2017, of course, was the date of the first Revelation 12 sign. If we add 2240 days to that, we get to 11/11. And Strong's 2240 means to have come, be present. And then the usage is, I have come, I have arrived. So I thought that was very interesting. And then if we look at the timeline in detail for the sign of Jonah, we get a duration of the eclipse starting from the end time, which may be a couple minutes off because this was taken from Natal, Brazil, which is slightly inland from the coast. So the eclipse may have lasted a minute or two longer as it went off the coast of Brazil. But anyway, we take the end time, 12:46:26 p.m., subtract the start time, which is totality in Coos Bay at 9:17:34, and we get 3 hours, 28 minutes, and 52 seconds, which is approximately 3.5 hours. And then the length of the Sign of Jonah, October 14th, again, the start time of the eclipse, Coos Bay, and to October 17th, where we had Kreutz showed up. It's the asteroid Kreutz, which means cross, showed up in Libra, ending the Sign of Jonah on October 17th. And we put in a time here at 9:17:34 p.m., gives us a full 3.5 days for that sign. And then finally, Jonah sign to 11:11. If we count again from the start of the eclipse to November 11th, now in the morning time, 9:17:34, we get exactly 3.5 weeks. So 3.5 hours, 3.5 days, 3.5 weeks. And this all gets back to the widow at the temple that Repo Man 64 had mentioned to us. She was 84 years old, and this implies 84 hours, which is exactly 3.5 days. So, but we do have a slight problem. Daylight savings time ended on November 5th, so this is right in the middle of our calculations. We set our clocks back 1 hour, so we actually we lost some time there. So the actual end time is 8:17:34 a.m. PST, but I don't think that bothers us too much because I believe that this, I think the time of the eclipse totality, 9:17:34 a.m. PDT, is only being used to find the day, since strong 1734 means 11th. So I think all of this, using that 9:17:34 time, is pointing us to the day, the 11th. It's not giving us the actual time of the rapture. Okay, more about the 1014 eclipse. Last time I told you it's during total annularity. It's 11% of the sun's surface can still be seen as a shining ring, so there's 111 there. And at 8:53:23 a.m. in Coos Bay, Oregon, 44% of the sun's surface is uncovered and 56% is covered. So that clues us into a few more scriptures. Revelation 4:4 is all about round about the throne, and John seeing the 24 elders sitting there. He's in there or in heaven, and he's there in the spirit. And then Luke 5:6, and it says, and when they had this done, they enclosed a great multitude of fishes. So there is us. We're the church, the 153 big fish. And then Revelation 5:6, and I beheld in the midst of the throne a lamb. So this is back in heaven again. And this all reinforces the time of 8:53:23 a.m. for the rapture. Also, I got a comment last time from Really Me 3573 mentioning that there's a Venus-Moon conjunction on 11/9. Well, that's already passed now. But I did investigate that, and that gave some more important information, I believe, for a time correction. So is this God's time correction in this Moon-Venus conjunction on November 9th at 0 hour, 53 and 23 seconds? We're looking at military time, so I really didn't have to put the AM in there, but I did that just for conception, I guess. But it's PST, and this is from Coos Bay, Oregon. And there's something strange about that time. It looks like it's an hour off. If we added back the hour that we removed for daylight savings time, that would be 1:53:23. And there's our 153 big fish in 2023 that we especially got from the number pi. Okay, so let's talk about Albuquerque for a second, then we'll get back to that. October 14th this year, this was the second annular eclipse visible from Albuquerque in 11 years, where it crossed the path of the May 2012 eclipse. It also coincided with the last day of the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta, which is a balloon fiesta, of course, is a going up or flying. This is analogous to the church flying away. So this seems to be speaking to the rapture. The solar eclipse of May 20th, 2012 was an annular solar eclipse, just like the one this year, that was visible in a band spanning Eastern Asia, Pacific Ocean, and North America. Okay, so Albuquerque basically means white oak, and there's a reference to oaks in Isaiah 61:3, oaks of righteousness. And if we actually look at those annular eclipses in totality and when they occur, from Albuquerque, we can see on May 20th, 2012, that one happens at 19:35:53 Mountain Daylight Time. And if we come forward to 10:14 this year, that one is also a pretty symmetric total annular eclipse, and that happened at 10:36:53 a.m. Mountain Daylight Time. And that's it, again, is in Albuquerque. So it seems that this Moon-Venus conjunction on 11/9 seems to be pointing us towards a time correction. In other words, don't use Coos Bay, since that was, or that was where the start of the 1014 eclipse was. Don't use that time zone. This seems to be telling us that you'll get the correct number, 153:23, if you go to Mountain Standard Time. So Albuquerque, again, let's cement this idea where two annular eclipses cross, and then we get May 20th, 2012, and I give you the time there, to October 14, 2023, is 11 years, 4 months, and 24 days. Well, Strong's G424 means to go up, and the usage is to ascend. And keep those numbers or the times in mind there, because they bracket, there's a 153 on both of those that bracket the central numbers of that time. A reminder, 11% of the sun's surface could still be seen as a shining ring during totality on 1014, so there's 111. And then the eclipse of 1014-23 occurred approximately 11 years from the first eclipse, so we get 11:11. And I checked out the first eclipse to see if the ring shining through would give us a third 11, and it does not. It gives about 14%. So that maybe that's pointing towards 1014, I don't know. But we don't get 3 11s, we just get 11:11, the correct amount. And the presence of 153 in the times of each eclipse indicates a connection to the Moon-Venus conjunction on 11/9 this year at 1:53:23 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, and this is from Albuquerque. Okay, and if we go back to pi, this string in pi, we find the time in several other places. We find it in the Scripture, and we also see it in the sky. But this is probably the most blatant. I mean, this just gives you everything except for the time zone, but it gives you pretty much everything in one string. 7:26, 2023, and then 8:53 the time, and 6 because it refers to Abel, who lived in Anno Mundi, or AM would be 8:53 AM. Well, 11:11 this year is 7:26 if we adjust the 2023 Hebrew calendar. In other words, we add 1 month to it because the barley harvest this year was late. Then we get 7:26 for 11:11. They coincide with each other. So in this pie strip, when it says 7:26, it's also saying 11:11, 2023. This is the last 7:26 of this year. Okay, so again, this is the last 7:26 in 2023. So by simple process of elimination, it looks like this may be it. November 11th at 8:53:23 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, and we're using that from Albuquerque since we had two eclipses cross right over Albuquerque in totality, and we had a very symmetric total eclipse. And then I just put in here to be silly, run the Meowathon, hopefully without catastrophes, and race toward your reward without pause. There will be many other fish at the finish. God bless you all. I hope to see you in the clouds, and thanks for watching.